This is Twit.
Bandwidth for Know-How is brought to you by CashFly.
This episode of Know-How is brought to you by Casper, an online retailer of premium mattresses for a fraction of the price. Because everyone deserves a great night's sleep. Get $50 off any mattress purchase by visiting casper.com/knowhow and enter the promo code KNOWHOW. And by Tracker. Tracker makes losing things a thing of the past. Pair Tracker to your smartphone, attach it to any item, and find its precise location with a tap of a button. Visit thetracker.com right now and enter the promo code KNOWHOW for 30% off your entire order. Today on Know-How, it's Back to School, Part 2. Welcome to Know-How. It's the show where we usually build, bend, break, and upgrade, but today we're doing something a little bit different. Now, Cranky Hippo, unfortunately, is traveling throughout Europe looking for the answer to life, the universe, and everything. So instead, I've brought in some heavy hitters from Twit here to join me for this back to school special.
Back to cool. I kind of like that,
special.
actually.
Our very own Jason Howell and Megan Morrone. Actually,
cool.
I'm kind of borrowing your set. This is TNT, so
It's okay. Welcome. I'm happy that we were able to fit the
The chalkboard, yeah.
The chalkboard.
Yeah, this
like
is how
that.
we roll. Oh, I wanted to bring you in because it is past back to school time, and actually this is normally when I recommend people start looking for the technology they want. Not a month before they go back to school, but after they've been there for a week or two to actually start looking at their needs and what their school might be using, and that's what determines what kind of technology you buy. I mean, you're both parents. Are you running into this at all?
Yeah, my kids get school-issued iPads, so we don't have to buy them, thankfully, but we do have to charge them at home, so that is always trouble. So it is good to wait to figure out how many iPods or iPads that you have to charge.
I saw a picture on Twitter of your charging table, which was supposed to be organized.
Smart, though.
It's a mess. I'm not going to suggest anything because I have no solutions. I need people to suggest how to clean up your charging station. So, yeah, but and it's good. It is good to know what the teacher wants, what the teacher will let you use or not use before you go out and spend a bunch of money.
And Jason, I'm hoping that your kids are not yet getting school-issued iPads. They are a little bit young for that.
A little bit, yeah. I think of the idea of like a charging table, and to me that frightens me a little bit because then the kids know exactly where to get the technology that we're always trying to keep them away from, because if they had it in grabbing distance, that's all they do.
Right.
So I've got a 3-year-old and a 6.5-year-old. Neither of them have been issued any form of formal technology at school yet, but I know it's right around the corner.
Well, it makes sense because I'm from years old, and I don't know when a device is supposed to be used as a toy and when it's supposed to be used as a work implement. I could hardly expect a 3 or 6 year old to know that.
I really try hard. Like I'm at this like crossroads as a parent of young children, at this crossroads of like, I love technology. I don't want to fear technology in my kids' lives, so I don't block them from it entirely. But then at the same time, you know, they're 3 and they're 6 years old. I want their brains to develop in normal ways as well, outside of just sitting in front of a screen 9 to 10 hours a day. So it's like I'm at odds with myself.
Yeah.
I don't want to like fear it and then clamp it off and then, you know, deal with repercussions down the line or whatever, and think that this is going to make my kid, you know, this magical perfect person. But at the same time, I don't want to let them run, you know, rampant and just have 100% access whenever they need it. So
you know, we're going on a rabid tangent for what we normally cover on Know-How, but I don't care because it's just fun. And actually, Megan, you are an expert in this. He's at the beginning of a process that you've already gone through, where he has to decide how much technology is appropriate. For you, it's a little easier because there is a school-issued iPad. But do you ever feel as if that's too much? Pull back, get outside.
Oh yeah, it's always too much. I think any parent would say
great,
that.
so it never gets better.
No, it doesn't. I mean, it's a constant battle, and you just have to. It's like any form of parenting.
Yeah.
You really just have to be attentive and be paying attention. And I say that as if it's easy. It's not. So yeah, I mean, and you know, you talked about whether it's a tool or a toy. I mean, all of us who grew up thinking that computers were a toy, like that's why we're here. You know, if you just saw it as a tool to just get your work done, you know, you missed out some on the excitement. So it's definitely a challenge to have, to have all of the things on the iPad that It's definitely a challenge to have all the things on the iPad that you all like. The toys and the tools there, their homework. Right. But with the school-issued iPad, that's why it's nice. They can't download. I mean, technically, they can't download what they're not supposed to download. I mean, they will find a way. But you can also, they know they're going to get in trouble if the school looks at the iPad. But it's our personal iPads that are a challenge because you have all these wonderful apps, but they're right there next to all the games and, the Minecraft and everything that, is great and educational. But too much time with Minecraft is like, too much of anything is not necessarily a good thing.
Yeah. Well, that's exactly why I brought both of you onto this episode, because this is, believe it or not, this is going to be a crazy, ridiculously balanced episode on the Twit TV network, because we know that people still do get into operating system wars. They still get into device format wars. We won't be doing that here today because Jason will be talking about some Android devices. I'll be talking about some Windows devices, and you're going to be bringing up all the iOS goodness that people need for back to school. Mm-hmm. All right, let's kick it off. Jason.
Maybe not Android devices.
Well, yeah, but I mean, it's in the same vein. It's sure. from Google. These are Chromebooks. Yeah. Well, they've really grown up over the last couple of years. You want to tell me about some of the devices you've got in front of you?
Well, I have two actually, and we'll start with the little one, the little mini me device here. This is the Acer Chromebook R11. I've spent about a week and a half with this, with the R11, and then a week and a half on the right here is the Acer Chromebook 14 for work. The R11 is definitely the downsized one. This is a smaller tablet. You can see it's got kind of a wider screen here at, 1366 by 1068, not quite 1080p display. The reason that you would consider getting this as your Chromebook is because it's relatively inexpensive. It's $280, but it does some really cool things. It's a convertible hybrid. And you can see the notes that I'm going off of on the device, but that's okay. It's like peeling back a layer here. It's a convertible laptop mode. You've also got display mode if you wanted to do that, and then you've got tablet mode, and this kind of pops it into a touchscreen only.
And when you do that, it automatically disables the keyboard, right?
Yeah. So I can tap on the keys on the back to my heart's content, and that's not going to do anything. It also activates this little button down here that acts as like your multitasking switcher if you need to. What's interesting about this is that there have been changes very recently in Chrome OS that this tablet can take advantage of that the Acer Chromebook 14 for work cannot. And that is because it has the touch screen. And so with the touch screen capability, you are able to load, here, let me put it back into the laptop format. You are able to load Android apps on here. So really what you get for $280 is you get a Chrome OS laptop, but you also get an Android tablet to a great degree. And actually, I can show you one of the apps right now. This is an Android app. It's called Quizlet. I'm going to be talking about it in a few minutes.
It's not all Android apps. It's choice Android apps.
Well, it's most Android apps, as long as the hardware that is on the device that you're running it can support all of the features that the Android app requires. If it requires a rear-facing camera, if it requires a mobile connectivity or phone capabilities, you won't be able to install it. But if it's like this is Quizlet, this is an Android app. It loads up in a window on the desktop, just like everything else that you would load on a Chrome OS. So what this gives a student for $280 is this crazy access to all of this software that's out there already. Millions upon millions of apps that have been created for Android. Most of them, I would say, also run here.
And I know it's a small thing, and some people are going to think I'm crazy for saying this, but when the Chromebook actually became a viable alternative for me was when it allowed apps in a window. Because I don't want everything in full screen. Right. That's not how my brain works. I like to have little tabs and little windows here and there.
Yeah, Chrome OS has definitely grown up over the last couple of years, like you were saying. And it used to just be, here's a browser window, and you just run everything inside the browser window. Now, as you can see, go ahead and switch over there. I can minimize. I've got a desktop. I've got my shortcuts bar down there. I've got my messages coming in from my wife. I've even got, and in this case, here's the Play Store. So this is where you get all of your Android apps. It loads up in a window. You can search them, install them, whatever, no big deal. It just makes a lot of things more capable now. It feels more like an OS as opposed to a computer running a browser.
That screen looks pretty good. I mean, I know it's the cheap version, but you've got some decent angles on that. I'm not seeing a whole lot of color shifting. I'm seeing color dimming.
These are, they're IPS displays.
Oh, it is IPS. Wow.
This is IPS. This is 11.6 inch widescreen IPS display, so you're not going to see as much of that. It's got the chiclet keys down here. I feel like the chiclet keys, they have a little bit of travel, but they feel pretty all right. The trackpad, I find on lower cost, lower quality Chromebooks that the trackpad and the keyboard as well can kind of suffer a little bit.
Some of them are unusable.
I actually really like this trackpad. I think it's a great trackpad, especially for the price. Performance, I found, so I've been using this a lot for all of my work here at Twit, and I don't know what to pull up right now, so I'll just go back into Chrome. But I found that multitasking, so when I'm running like a chat room and a browser with a bunch of windows and everything at the same time, hopping between some things can kind of get a little slow. So if multitasking is a big part of what you're using this computer for, and maybe as a student you are, that's something to consider. It's got a 1.6 gigahertz Intel Celeron processor with 4 gigs of RAM.
A little bit on the low side.
Yeah, it's definitely. But, it's $280. $280 for a laptop that runs Chrome OS and can give you access to most of the Android apps. I think it's a pretty darn good deal, to be honest.
And the specs are pretty good. It's it's an 11.6 inch IPS screen. It's got a 1.6 gigahertz Celeron, 32 gigabytes of SSD storage, 4 gigabytes of system memory, and again, for $280, that's astoundingly good.
Yeah, with that extra access for apps and all that kind of stuff, with the convertible form factor. I mean, when you flip this into tablet mode, and if you have Android apps installed on here, it's basically, for all intents and purposes, it is an Android tablet. So I would say that probably in the next Chromebook that I buy personally, I have the Chromebook Pixel right now, and it can't do this stuff. I would love to get this particular form factor, the hybrid form factor, because then it's kind of like I have my Android tablet as well, and it's very usable in all 3 form factors.
I actually just purchased one of these for my dad because he wanted an Android tablet, and the one he was looking at was like $400. And I was thinking, for less, I can get you something that works like a notebook. Because he wanted to get that plus one of those cases that had the keyboard. I'm like, Dad.
Yeah.
Come on.
But you are sacrificing a little on display. Like the viewing angles can be okay. The resolution's not the best. It's not the sharpest resolution in the world. It's not horrible, but it's not even, quite 1080p. So if your eyes are really sensitive to that kind of stuff, mine are, that's going to bug you a little bit. But yeah.
Now, a Chromebook is designed to be working in the cloud. So does Google give us cloud storage for this?
Yeah, you end up getting 2 years of free storage with Google Drive with 100 gigs of space. Once that runs out, you can basically pay $1.99 a month for that access. And that's to kind of make up for the fact that there's 32 gigs of onboard storage. When we think of traditional laptops, we think of laptops and desktops having lots and lots of storage on board. Here you don't necessarily have that, but it also operates primarily on the cloud. So having cloud access to cloud storage to kind of sync to and from here is a great alternative.
Okay, so that's the Acer Chromebook R11. That's the lower end. We specifically asked Acer. We said, look, give us your economic version, and then give us kind of like all your bells and whistles version. And they sent you this. This is the Acer Chromebook 14 for work. I think they based this off of their R13 model because it looks like it shares the same kind of chassis. I think it shares a lot of the same hardware, but of course this is running Chrome OS.
Yep, running Chrome OS, 14 inches of display here, full HD IPS display at 1920 by 1080. Definitely sharper in comparison with the display on the R11. This has great processing underneath. It has a dual-core Intel Core i5 processor running at 2.3 gigahertz with 8 gigs of memory. So I found, all the stuff that I've been using this for here at Twit, this thing never gave me any issues. From a performance standpoint, this thing could perform really well. 32 gigs of SSD storage inside again. The whole 100 gigs of free storage still applies here, of course. HDMI, 2 USB 3.0 ports, an SD card slot on the side. Where is that?
Oh, right here. Yeah.
Oh, did I miss it? Oh, I see. There it is. It's right there. Media card slot there on the side. And it does have one USB-C port. That's actually how the charging mechanism works. I don't know if you can see that, but that's a USB-C port. So it's a multi-purpose port. The problem is if you want to do something like charge it while, you've got an external hard drive plugged in or whatever, you're going to need an extra dock.
Yeah, Belkin makes one of those. It's one of these things where you kind of have to get you have to buy into the ecosystem. And this is true for all devices that have a single USB-C port that also doubles for power.
Right. Yeah, it's just kind of the way of the world with a single USB-C port. You always want just one more. Chiclet keys, I think the keys feel really nice. I actually felt like the trackpad on this was less desirable to me than the trackpad over here.
You just didn't like
the responsiveness? Not quite sure why. Yeah, it just kind of feels empty. And that's a problem I have with trackpads sometimes. It feels kind of hollow and empty when you click on it and stuff. But overall, I mean, this thing performs like a beast, especially in comparison with the R11. And there is a version of this with a Celeron processor inside, and you can get that for $349.99. But this configuration is $750.
I think this is their top of the line configuration. This is loading up everything that they have in this line. I will say, some people have been noting that this seems dimmer at some angles. That's actually on purpose. This is a matte screen versus a glossy screen, so you're not going to get at the angles. But that's actually a work function. That's the privacy feature, because you don't want someone in the seat next to you on the airplane to be looking at your screen.
Right. That's a really good point. Yeah, I liked this for certain things. If performance is like top of mind, this would be the Acer Chromebook 14 for work would be what you'd want to go for. Of course, I have a Pixel, and I still feel like from the display standpoint, definitely the Pixel's sharper. There's still just kind of like a feel of the design that I really like about the Pixel versus this. This feels a little bit less kind of premium.
Well, the Pixel, you feel the aluminum. This, you still do feel some of the plastic
kind of plasticky or whatever. And I personally, I just think lacking a touch screen is a big omission. In Chrome OS, I would say it would be my preference, and maybe save for really low cost of entry devices. I feel like touchscreen should be in any premium Chrome OS laptop. Period. Yeah. I don't know why you wouldn't put that there, because it opens up the world for a lot of things.
Let me ask you about this, because I mean, you've been using the Pixel, which is that's the creme de la creme of Chromebooks. But there are some people who say, look, save the high end for PCs and Macs. People who want a lot of power, they're not going to get a Chromebook.
Yeah.
Does it make sense to you to make a high-end Chromebook, or is Chromebook really supposed to be synonymous with not cheap, but definitely lower end?
I feel like it makes sense. It makes sense because if that is a laptop that you are going to live with, and you're willing to live in the Chrome OS world, maybe you are willing to accept the fact that you're not using your PC for all of these things that we traditionally use PCs for, then there is the category of people who are okay with that, and I am one of those people. And then, further into there is a smaller subset of those people that want a really nice device in that category, and they're willing to spend for it. It's the device they're going to use every single day, so give me a more premium option, absolutely.
Megan, we got Bleak in the chat room who's asking a pretty good question. He's saying, look, if you're going to give one to a kid, he would give them a Windows, a Mac, or a OS 10 PC. Oh, sorry, Linux, Windows, or Mac, just because they have more choices, they can explore, they can develop a bit more. Do you feel that way, or do you feel like this is a perfectly good device for those people who want to compute but maybe don't want to learn how to compute?
I agree, yes. If you want to compute but you don't want to learn how, then a Chromebook, I think, is a great way, because, especially in the school environment, because you can't load things on it. You can't, you can't put a bunch of software on it, or you can't get a virus on it, and because most of the things are in the cloud. So I think that it is great for kids. I mean, a lot of schools are using Google Classroom. So obviously Google Classroom will work on the iPad, it'll work on your Windows computer, it'll work anywhere, but it probably works most efficiently on a Chromebook, I'm guessing. So yeah, I do think it's a great device to give a kid, especially the price of it too.
That's going to scale in the classroom.
Like kids
better.
and it's, if you're getting it for your kid at home, who wants to run around with it and drop it, then you feel a lot better if you just paid $290 with it than you would.
Sorry, I just want to know.
Just wants to know, will it survive?
Yeah.
I mean, this one will flatten out if it hits hard enough. It would probably be okay. This is the one I'd be worried about dropping.
Right. Yeah, I think I do think times have changed, and I do think that Chromebooks are best for the classroom and for students.
Yeah, I think for the people who were around when Chromebooks were first introduced, there is still a little bit of that stigma.
Oh yeah, there's residual there.
Yeah, I remember the first Chromebook and the first Chromebox, and it was like, oh, neat. Now what do I do with it?
Yeah,
it doesn't do much. And the other day when I was playing around with one of these units, I thought, you know what? Except for a little bit of the development work I do with Arduinos and my video editing, I don't need this laptop. I could completely go over to a Chromebook and it would give me much of the same experience. So I don't know, maybe it becomes a daily driver.
And then I say that, and then I actually look at my own use case, right? Like, I use Chromebooks primarily. It's what I use here when I'm doing shows, when I'm out on the floor. When I'm at my desk, I'm using a Mac.
Right.
When I'm at home, I've got a MacBook Pro. So it's not. I'm very pro Chrome OS for certain things. I feel like I could live my life on Chrome OS if my career wasn't based around certain things that sometimes I feel like I need a little extra.
Right.
And that, and also long-standing preferences. It's hard for me to give up my Mac. But I do music production at home. That's required. Like, that's just what I use.
We've got all this power in this format, and even if I only need it once a month, that one time that I need it and I have to go get another computer because my Chromebook won't cut it, that kind of just takes away from the magic.
For sure. But for students, I think Chrome OS is kind of a no-brainer. There's just a lot of security stuff around kind of the identity aspect of it, being able to log into any Chrome OS and kind of have your information pushed to it. There's no necessary ownership aspects to Chrome OS. You can pretty much sign into any of them. And the low cost to entry is a big bonus. Yeah.
Well, there you have it. Jason, host of All About Android, likes Chromebooks.
Well, there's Android apps on there too, so it's kind of easier for me to like them now.
Now, we will be going over to Megan Morrone in just a bit. She's going to be giving us some of the picks for iOS folk. Now, if you are an iOS person, if you've bought in that ecosystem, don't feel bad. Again, remember, this is a totally equal, totally fair episode, but there are a couple of accessories, apps, items that you may want to pick up. We'll get to that in a bit. But first, let's go ahead and thank a sponsor of this episode of Know How. Folks, did you know that you spend almost 80% of your life in bed, according to a study I just made up? It's not really 80%, but I mean, it's a good third, right? I mean, if you're doing it right, you should be resting every single night. And unfortunately, not enough of us put thought into what we're resting on. We buy the cheapest, the lumpiest, the kind of okay, but not quite heaven type beds because we're worried about price. We're worried about cost, which is silly when you consider how long it is that we hold onto our beds. It's time for a different way to think about your sleeping tools. And that's why we're so happy to have Casper as a sponsor of Know How. Casper is a different kind of company. It's an obsessively engineered mattress at a fair price. It combines two different technologies, springy latex foam and supportive memory foam, to create an award-winning sleep surface with just the right sink and just the right bounce. In fact, the Casper mattress is a 2016 Business Intelligence Group Innovations Award winner. A Casper mattress provides you with long-lasting comfort and support. They have a breathable design that sleeps cool. It means you're not going to have a hot spot that you constantly roll away from. The combination of those two materials give you something that's supportive, something that's soft, and something that allows the sheets and the bed to breathe. It's really the best possible way to lie down every night. Now, we got our new Casper mattresses, and I have to say that they are absolutely heavenly. They're soft and comfortable, and yet they give support in those areas that we need. Now, the best thing about a Casper mattress is that you can try it online and completely risk-free. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, I mean this. If you try to buy a mattress the traditional way, it means going into a showroom and maybe lying down on a bed for 45 seconds, maybe a tiny bit longer, and then in those 45 seconds, you have to make your decision about something that you're going to own for the next decade. Well, Casper realizes that that's not the right way to choose a mattress. You need to use it in the place that you're actually going to be sleeping in the environment that you're actually going to be living in, which is why they will deliver it to your door where you can install it and sleep on it for a 100-day period. And if you don't like it, you can just return it. There's no other manufacturer on the planet that will give you that kind of sleep guarantee, which is why we stand behind Casper. Casper mattresses are engineered to meet the Goldilocks standards of just right, so it's not too hard or too soft, and their mattresses uphold the highest environmental production standards. They're made in the United States. Free shipping and returns to the U.S. and Canada. Folks, if you're tired of sleeping on a substandard bed, if you realize it's time for you to invest a bit more in something that takes up a third of your life, then get a Casper mattress today. $500 for a twin or $950 for a king size. Compared to industry averages, that's an outstanding price. And you can save an additional $50 towards a mattress purchase as one of our audience members by going to casper.com/knowhow. That's casper.com/knowhow and entering the promo code knowhow. Once again, that's casper.com/knowhow with promo code knowhow. Terms and conditions apply. And we thank Casper for their support of Know How. We're going to be getting to the iOS goodness in just a bit, but first, I want to show you a little something. If you're a Windows user, if you are one of these people who watched last week's Back to School episode with all the monitored arms, and you're longing for a way to connect all the different displays that you desire to your MacBook, to your PC, to whatever it might be, then maybe you need a dock. So, you're a big fan of monitors, and I don't mean 1 or 2 or even 3. You are a multi-monitor maniac. You like them big, you like them high resolution, and you need them to work without a lot of troubleshooting. Now, if you're on a desktop, no problem. Most modern video cards can support between 2 and 4 monitors out of the box, but it gets more complicated if you're a laptop power user. That's when you need a dock. The Acer full-function docking station is a $160 device that adds up to 2 additional monitors to your USB 3.0 equipped Windows computer. We've seen these docks before, but where the Acer excels is in the resolution of those monitors. While some USB monitor adapters max out at 1080p or 2K, the Acer docking station can support a single 4K monitor or 2 monitors at 2K. Using the docking station is easy. Power it up using the included adapter, then a single USB 3.0 cable docks the Acer to your Windows 7 or better PC with at least an Intel Core i5 and 4 GB of memory. Windows will automatically install the required display link drivers and make the monitors available to you in the monitor settings. From there, you can move, reconfigure, and set the resolution of your individual monitors just as you would with conventionally connected displays. Now let's talk about those displays. The Acer docking station has 1 HDMI port and 1 full-size display port. The HDMI port maxes out at 2K, while the display port can support a 4K monitor at 30 Hz. Next to the monitor ports at the rear of the docking station is a single gigabit Ethernet port. Together with the 3 USB 3.0 ports and the combo audio jack on the front of the unit, the Acer can be a true docking station, connecting your network, mouse, keyboard, speakers, microphones, monitors, and USB accessories to your laptop with a single connection. We've had many docking stations come through our labs, and at least half of them didn't pass muster. Some of them would stutter video playback, while others would go into strange reboot loops because of poor design. Still, others just straight up didn't work when you tried to drive them at their spec resolutions. Not so with the Acer. The connected USB peripherals were rock solid, the network never dropped out, and we tested the monitors at 1080p, dual 2K, and single 4K. Knowing that you'll most likely use your USB ports to charge your USB devices, Acer has also equipped the first USB port with power charging, which automatically detects the optimal charging current of any connected device, extending the lifespan of your devices. Its small size, smart design, ease of installation, and bulletproof connectivity makes it a smart choice for monitor maniacs with a free USB 3.0 port. Of course, a USB docking station isn't much good if you don't have a USB port. For those users, there's the StarTech Thunderbolt laptop docking station with HDMI mini DisplayPort and gigabit Ethernet. That's a mouthful to say, so I'm just going to call it the StarTech ThunderDock. The ThunderDock is about the size of a TV remote at 7.4 inches by 4.9 inches by 2.8 inches wide and just over 14 ounces heavy. It comes with a power brick, power cables for every corner of the planet, Thunderbolt cable, and a detachable weighted base so it can operate with either a horizontal or vertical orientation. With the ThunderDock, 1 port enters, many ports leave. The rear of the device is decked out with 2 USB 3.0 ports, 2 Thunderbolt ports with mini DisplayPort compatibility, an HDMI jack, and gigabit Ethernet. The front of the ThunderDock adds a third USB 3.0 port and audio jack. Using the ThunderDock is simple. Powered up, connect one of the Thunderbolt ports to your properly equipped Mac or Windows PC, then connect USB, HDMI, Ethernet, audio, and additional Thunderbolt peripherals at will. The HDMI port supports a maximum resolution of 1920 by 1080, while the pass-through Thunderbolt/mini DisplayPort can support monitors with resolutions of up to 2560 by 1440. Video quality was smooth with no jitter, skip frames, or system hiccups, even with motion-rich video and USB transfers happening simultaneously. Unlike some USB to display adapters, Thunderbolt-connected video displays, even those running through adapters, have no lag. Seeing the laptop screen alongside either the DisplayPort or HDMI-connected screen shows no discernible lag, even when the video adapter was taxed with multiple streams of HD video. One note of caution. If you're planning on using the Thunderbolt pass-through to connect a natively equipped Thunderbolt monitor, you can display both the Thunderbolt and HDMI outputs simultaneously. However, if you want to use the mini DisplayPort functionality, it's either or. Plugging in an HDMI-enabled display will disable the mini DisplayPort functionality. Beyond the video capabilities, the ThunderDock gives you full-spec 10 gigabit per second Thunderbolt connectivity, as well as 5 gigabit per second USB 3.0. The ThunderDock supports USB-attached SCSI protocol, or UASP, for faster transfers. When we tested transfer rates with Crystal Disk Mark on our Windows box, the scores from a USB 3.0 flash drive connected through the ThunderDock were almost identical to the scores of the same drive directly connected to our test system. Just for giggles, we plugged the same drive into a USB 2.0 port, and, well, let's just say that if you have a system with USB 2.0 and Thunderbolt, you definitely want a Thunderbolt to USB 3.0 adapter. The Gigabit Ethernet port worked as promised. There have been reports of glitches in getting both Windows and Mac computers to recognize the Ethernet port, but our test unit was up and running in seconds. In all, the StarTech ThunderDock is an excellent addition to the desk of anyone using a Thunderbolt-equipped notebook. It's fast, relatively low-priced, and nearly bulletproof. I remember a time when using a notebook meant that you actually had to either deal with not being able to hook it up to more than just one external monitor, or you had some weird concoction with a bunch of DisplayLink adapters hanging off the edges, which would kind of sometimes maybe give you the resolution that you want, but not always.
Yeah, it's not very easy to do this. I was actually, when we were sitting down here, trying to move my cursor from one of these two Chrome OS laptops over to the other. The desire is there.
You get used to it. You get used to having multiple monitors.
Once you have them, it's really hard to go back, yeah.
Now, I will say this. All of these could technically work with both OS X and with Linux. So you could get it working. The thing is, if you're using Windows, it's automatic. The drivers are built into anything Windows 7 and above, so it really makes it a plug-and-play thing. Versus Linux, it's a nightmare, and OS X, a lot of times it works, and then it would just stop working for some reason.
It just works, and then it doesn't.
And then it doesn't. It works until then, no. And then you have to disconnect everything, remove the drivers, and try to reconnect. Go figure. I really do like these. And in fact, this is another one I had. This is a StarTech USB 3. It's like the SL. It's a tiny bit cheaper. Not as feature-rich. It won't do 4K like I can get off of the SL, which I actually really, really do like. That's a great feature. You can also connect multiples. So if you really wanted a lot of monitors, the most I've ever run off of USB 3 was 16 simultaneous at the same time.
I hate simul.
Have you noticed? Did you notice I didn't like that word? I really didn't. I had to do that so many times in the VO.
It's good. It's good not to multitask anyway. So.
Well, no. I mean, you have one for. Jason was just doing NFL on Twitter, which, by the way, that worked really well in that.
No, I wasn't watching the NFL football game on Twitter during a show. It was actually pretty impressive.
Yeah,
Twitter's got a good thing going.
Go figure. There are a lot of USB docks out there. I will say this. It does really make a difference to pay attention to the brand. They're all using chipsets from DisplayLink because that's the company that made the USB to video bridge. However, some of them are just incredibly poorly designed. I don't want to mention a lot, but there was one from Dell that was absolutely horrible. I have not yet found one from Diamond Multimedia that was anywhere near good. Those things are horrible. I mean, they work for about 4 months and then they start falling apart. So look around. Find one that looks as if more people are happy with it than not. You might find two that have the exact same spec, have the exact same parts, but they're just not assembled well. Yeah, go figure. All right, when we come back, it's time to get into iOS. That means Megan Morrone is going to be giving us her picks. But before we do that, hey guys, I want to ask you something. You know, we live in a world with smartphones, smart cars, even smart homes. Wouldn't it be nice if we never had to lose any of the smart things because of a dumb mistake?
It would. I wish there was something that we could like attach to them, or maybe throw them in a pocket or something, so that we could track it with our phones.
Yeah, you know, maybe
seriously,
maybe even something that had a way to report back to me even when I've left range. That would be awesome.
Or possibly if something, you know, I lose something out in the scary world out there, and somebody else walks by that thing. I would be told where it actually exists, so I can go get it.
Absolutely. Or you know what, Megan, I would really like something that's about coin size that maybe I could even replace the battery in, so I'm not always throwing the device away. Something that maybe even has reverse location, so I can press a button on the device and find the phone or the tablet that it's been paired to.
Something that would maybe make your iPhone make a noise, even if the sound on your iPhone was turned off.
Yeah. It's too bad that thing doesn't exist.
Yeah. Except I think it does.
It does. It's called the Tracker, folks. That's right. This little coin-sized device, which, by the way, they customize versions of this for all of our shows. So TNT has one, and Windows Weekly, This Week in Google, Know-How, of course. It's more than just a tracking device. It's really a new way to look at location. You see, there are some other competing products that will use Bluetooth LE, just like this does. There are some other products that will last as long, just as this does. There are some other products that will pair with your iPhone, with your Android, and make sure that you don't walk away from your smart devices. But what the Tracker does is it makes that process even smarter. You see, Tracker, this coin-sized device, isn't just a very hardy, almost weather-resistant device. It also does mesh GPS. This means that even if you walk away entirely, it's no longer linked to your Bluetooth LE-enabled device, you can still find out where it is, because as long as it comes within 100 feet of any other Tracker user, it can still report its location back to you. It's like being constantly connected to your device, even when you're not. You just pair your Tracker to your smartphone, attach it to any items, and you can find their precise locations with the tap of a button. It's that easy. Your phone could track up to 10 devices at once, and Tracker is enabled by Bluetooth LE, which means it's going to last up to about a year on a single battery. And that battery, by the way, is incredibly easy to replace. You can customize two-way separation alerts so that you're notified before you forget your item. In other words, Tracker can start to tell you, hey, look, we're in a coffee shop. You're about to walk away from your bag. Maybe that's not a good idea. Lose your phone? Just press the button on the Tracker and your phone rings even if it's on silent. And now you can personalize your Tracker with a laser engraved message or a custom printed image, just like we have here at the Twit Studio. Now, with over 1.5 million devices, Tracker has the largest crowd GPS, that's that mesh GPS that I talked about, in the world, so that your lost item shows up on a map even if it's miles away. The Tracker app records your lost item's last known location on a map, so you can always go back towards it. And when another Tracker comes within 100 feet of that item, you'll receive yet another GPS fix on your item's location. A Tracker Atlas works with your Tracker Bravo or third-party Bluetooth tracker to pinpoint your items on a customizable floor plan of your house. Not just within a couple of 100 meters, it can actually say, hey, you left your keys on the second floor next to the bed. Folks, this is the way to make sure your smart devices don't go stupid. Go to thetracker.com and never lose your possessions again. Plus, just for our audience, if you enter the promo code KNOWHOW, you'll get 30% off your entire order. That's thetracker, TheTracker.com. Promo code KNOWHOW for 30% off your entire Tracker order. And we thank Tracker for their support of Know-How. All right, let's get to the main business. It's got to be all about iOS. Well, I mean, Apple's had an interesting week and a half here. They've made some announcements. They've got the world buzzing. And I think it's time for us to update the accessories that people need to bring with them.
I agree. So, you can get an iPad for cheaper, a little more than what those Chromebooks cost. But if you really want to do real work on it, you're going to have to pay a little bit more. The iPad Pro, this is the baby iPad Pro that I have here. That is 9.7 inches. That's
It's
a 9.7
so
inch screen. I
cute.
know, it's so cute. And she's pink. And that is going to cost you starting around $600. And then there's the other iPad Pro that is that you can do real work on, that is 12.9 inches, and that's going to start at $900. So
Now, you prefer this size over the larger one,
I
yes?
do. I prefer the smaller size. It's just easy to carry around. And then if you want to do work, you're going to probably need a keyboard too. And this smart keyboard is $150. So
Is this one of the Apple ones, or is this a third party?
this is the Apple Smart Keyboard. But, there are third-party keyboards that are a little cheaper or around the same price that are great too. It's got Retina display. It's got the A9X chip. The smaller one has a better camera. This has a 12-megapixel camera and does 4K video. The bigger one has an 8-megapixel camera and doesn't do 4K video. It's good for a college student, I think. Someone who, maybe not, I don't know that I'd hand over an iPad Pro to a younger child.
It's amazing because people look at it as a tablet and they don't realize it's actually really, really powerful. That thing is more powerful than my notebook, I believe.
Yeah, it is really powerful, but weirdly, the new iPhone 7s are more powerful. The chip in the iPhone
that
7
new
are even
A10.
more powerful than this. But it's great in your college dorm to watch Netflix, to listen to music. It's got great speakers. And it's a device that you can also do a lot of work on. So.
Let me ask both of you. We've all gone out to live events. We've all gone into the press room, and there's always going to be one or two professionals there who will have the iPad with the keyboard. And it always struck me. I'm like, everyone else is using a laptop. It might be a Windows or Mac, but they've got laptops, and you've got someone on a tablet. Does that feel forced, or do you think you can actually get a good amount of work done with a keyboard on a tablet?
I think once you get used to it and it's your only device, then you can. Yes.
Really?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, if you're doing just mostly writing, like if you're doing like, video editing, I mean, you can do that on this too. I think I don't, but I do know people that do.
Yeah, because I mean, for me, just being in the press room, it means I'm posting up pictures from the floor. For me, that's never that easy on any tablet, or anything that doesn't have sort of like a drag and drop interface where I can, drag the picture over here, put it into Twitter, here's my tweet, send it out. What about you, Jason? I mean, do you miss the full functionality when you're working on a tablet-like device?
I mean, I've seen a lot of, at least on Android, I've seen a decent amount of convertible, the Pixel C is a prime example of that. The tablet that docks into the keyboard and whatever, it's just as good. But my experience personally is I never feel like it's quite the same. I don't know if it's the feel of the keyboard. I don't know if it's the underlying OS just isn't kind of designed with multitasking in mind in the same way that a dedicated laptop OS or, PC OS is. For me, that doesn't work. But you know what? Lots of people work in a lot of different ways.
Right. There
There are plenty of people that I've met that are able to do the majority of their work with an iPad and the proper, like a keyboard case or a keyboard stand that works for them. So who am I to judge? If it works for you, great. Go ahead and use it. It's not my cup of tea.
For me, the big thing has always been, especially in the really crowded events, half the time you will not get a table. So you're like on the floor trying to file something under a deadline, and I couldn't.
And
I've
having the
seen
little
people
floppy,
try to do that with a
that's-
tablet. It's actually kind of funny.
Yeah.
I mean, I sometimes work on my phone. Like
Really?
you just if you're desperate, you will use what you have.
That's
I
true.
think.
That's true.
I think.
Yeah.
Better than
I see
nothing.
that. And if someone really just wants to carry around a smaller device, I mean, that's about as good as it gets.
Yeah,
sure.
I think so. And then, for an extra $100, you can throw in the Apple Pencil as well. So, for
Now,
drawers.
does
for
the
artists.
pencil work as good on the mini as it does on the big one?
Absolutely. Yeah, there's no difference with it. I have the pencil here. I will show
You're not
you.
charging it out of the side of the
no,
tablet.
I love how they charge the pencil. It is my favorite part of this entire tablet
If
thing.
you've never seen the beauty of charging the Apple Pencil, I'll show you. It goes in. Yeah, see that? I'm going to lose that as fast as I lose my AirPods. It just goes right in there, and that's how it connects to Bluetooth too. And
that's
charges.
just elegant.
It's just nice.
And you know what? If you can hold it up and it's like a ping pong paddle, right? You're not going to break that connector off at all.
No, not at all. So, I mean, I have a couple apps to show off. One of them is a drawing app or a note-taking app, sorry. Let's see if I can find that.
Where did you go?
Where did you go? I have a lot of apps, so I think we're just going to have to scroll through and find it.
You're like Tanya with she
With
at any given time she has
tabs.
60 tabs
Yeah.
open on her browser.
I don't understand.
This one I just downloaded recently, so there. Note Shelf.
Aw.
So here's a note that I took. You can just add new pages to your note. This is good if you're in college and you need to take notes. You can also record things. If you want to record, if we wanted to record us talking, or if you wanted to record your professor talking, this is good. So if your professor was telling you about triangles, you could just do that and then record it, and then that was saved with whatever notes you also took there.
Okay, that's intuitive.
I'm drawing with purple, but you can also draw, with black or other colors like that.
The funny thing about this, I remember 20 years ago when we first started getting devices where you could take notes, like natural note taking. And even then I was thinking, I can't read my handwriting. I have to type everything. And I'm thinking probably the new generation's probably even more that way, right? They don't get taught cursive and penmanship anymore.
They don't. Yeah, they don't get taught handwriting. And I don't. I'm not against that. Like, I think that if your ideas are flowing fast and you need to type them, I say go for it. Like.
All right.
So.
Okay.
I don't know.
So this is I forget how they call their models. This is the Pro Mini or just
it's the
Mini?
iPad Pro. They don't call it a Mini. They don't officially call it a Baby Pro like I do. It's just the 9.7-inch iPad Pro.
I think it should be Baby Pro, especially with this very cute color scheme. I mean,
Yes,
that
the
pink I mean, look at that, folks. You ain't getting that pink
Baby
anywhere
pink.
else.
Yes.
And you said about $650 or so.
Yeah, it starts at $600. So you know, for more space, you're going to want something bigger.
Okay, that's not a bad back to school.
This app also, it has a lot of features in it, and that's $8.99. So not cheap either.
Okay, Megan, let me ask you this. There's been a lot of hate over the last week from some people. I'm actually not one of them, because Apple did remove the headphone jack, the audio jack, the analog audio port from the iPhone. Personally, I like having it, but I have been using Bluetooth devices for so long, it's not a huge loss for me. Is there a way for people to get high quality audio on their brand new jackless iPhone, or maybe even on an iPad that they want to use wireless?
I'm glad you asked that, Padre, because yes, there is. This is not cheap either. Everything I'm showing off is so expensive. But if you like high quality audio, the Parrot Zik 3, they're awesome.
By the way, folks, Parrot, yes, this is the same company that makes the AR drone.
Yes.
But before they were making drones, they were just making some very beautiful design. And this is a beautifully designed headset. I don't know if you can see it in the close-up, but who was the person who designed this? It was gosh, I can't remember his name, but he's famous. Philippe Stark.
Oh, Philippe Stark, yes.
Yes.
So yeah, and they come in a lot of different colors, so you don't have to get the red ones. I think they come in 6 different colors.
I asked for the red though. I was like, yeah.
And they're not just pretty. I mean, they sound great, and you know why they're great for this back to school episode is that they're noise canceling too. So if you are studying in a big library, you want to look good, and you will with these, and you want your stuff to sound good, and then you don't want people bugging you.
These are surprisingly comfortable. I didn't, the first time I saw them, I thought, oh, this is going to be one of these. They look good, but they feel horrible. It was actually quite comfortable on my ears. This is a nice cushion. It's not too firm, and it's not too soft. But compared to another premium brand that is actually in the same price range, Beats, far better. I mean, the materials that go into this, the drivers that they put into it, this is actually a premium headset, not just premium priced.
Exactly. I mean, they have some new Beats that they announced this week that are supposed to be better and pair better. Leo just got a pair of Beats that he was showing off at iOS today on Monday, and they wouldn't pair for the whole episode,
Right.
of course. These paired really well, really easily, and they have a lot of great features that are right on them. There's the volume that's right on the soft headset, and you can just tap them. Like, that's the thing with the AirPods that everyone's
Right.
talking about. You tap, so you just tap. You can tap it to turn it off. You can tap it to turn it on. You can swipe it to move on to the next song. You swipe up to turn the volume up, swipe down. That's really nice.
Yeah, the right cup here, this is actually a multi-touch surface. So you can control everything just with gestures, of volume up, volume down, forward and back on track. That was actually a cool design, because you can't see. You don't notice that there's a control surface there, but there is. Also, we've got a couple of people like Bleak in the chat room saying that the texture looks weird. That's why I like it. I like having that weird look. It's like rattleskin type.
Yeah, like
totally.
a red rattlesnake. Yeah. I really liked these. And they have an app that, they pair with your iPhone or your iPad, and then there's an app that goes with them that you can, has an equalizer and does all these things that I'm sure, Jason, you would probably use in better health than I do, because you can make the music sound like a
Right,
concert
this will do
hall or
5.1
jazz.
surround.
Yes, 5.1 surround,
So it has
like you
spatial-
said.
Gotta love that.
It has spatial whatever.
and the tech that they put in here is actually, I mean, from a geek's standpoint, it's actually pretty good. They've got a 32-bit audio processor. They've got noise canceling. So this thing does actually have microphones, which means not only will it cancel out, but you can use it as your headset. So
Yeah.
you can use this to make calls on your phone,
Right.
or conference calls, whatever it might be. An 830 milliamp hour battery. How long did that last?
It was. I mean, I didn't need to charge it when I was using it. It lasted about. I didn't turn. It's supposed to last 18 hours, 7 hours with noise canceling. I listened to it during the day at work for like 4 or 5 hours, and it was fine. So I had no trouble at all. It also has Qi charging, so the charger
Oh,
doesn't come with
really?
it, but it can charge if you have a Qi charger, which I don't with my iPhone, but you Android
That
users
will
probably
clean up
have.
your charging table a little bit.
Yes, I know. That would be
Now
great.
we just need a Qi charging table.
A Qi table.
Yeah.
Qi table.
Yeah, so that doesn't come with it. But if you have that already, then you can charge it really easily, and you don't have to worry about wires for connecting for listening or for charging, which is awesome.
Now, this is more for the Android folk, but this is also NFC enabled. So you can pair it without having to go through the pairing process just by touching it to the NFC sensor on the back of your Android phone.
That's nice.
Which is, it's the little things. It's okay, that's something I can actually give to my mom and say, Mom, just touch it to the back of your phone and you're
Just
good to
tap
go.
it.
This will also pair with both Apple Watch and Android Wear devices. So if you wanted to be able to do away with the phone, you could go directly from watch to headphones.
Yeah, and that's great too. The new Apple Watches has built-in GPS. So if you're taking a walk or exercising in some way, you don't need to bring your phone out at all. It will record your exercise, and you can also listen to your music.
But Megan,
yes.
$400.
I know, $400 is a lot. I mean, we've told you all the great things about it, and they're all true. But whether I'm not the type to spend $400 on a pair of headphones, but you, Jason, I mean, have you ever spent $400 on a pair of headphones?
No, I actually have not spent that much on a pair of headphones. I have a Bose, I think it's the True Comfort in-ear headphones that are isolating in-ear headphones, and those are like $250, which is a lot for in-ear buds. I actually didn't buy those. They were a gift from my wife for my birthday, which means I kind of did buy them because we share all of our money. But so, I mean, that's probably
so
the most.
sad.
Well, it's true. I mean, it's
Point that
the
out.
truth.
The sad
Actually, I
truth of
remember when you
marriage.
got those. And those are like your treasured device.
No, they're really nice. I have, I have good studio speakers at home for when I work on music, but even those I think I paid like $150 for.
Right.
So I've never paid $400 for headphones. I don't know that for me that's necessary, but it's got some bells and whistles that make it nice.
We know this, so this is not a derogative towards any particular audience or OS fandom, but we know that people who live in iOS-dom are willing to pay a little bit extra for the style. Do you think that has that $400 style? Does it have the premium look that people really like to pair with, say, their brand new iPhone 7 or their new iPad Pro?
That's a great question. I mean, I do, I mean, especially people who like the Parrot brand, drone lovers. I mean, that's the thing. Like, people will pay a lot of money for Beats, but they don't sound great,
No, they don't.
And so, like, it's just, especially kids. Kids love it. So I can imagine, like, you're a kid and you saved $400 because you want these and you like all the features in them. Absolutely. Or what you were saying, Jason, a gift. I mean, like, it's something you wouldn't buy for yourself.
Yeah.
But yes, I think if you like sound, if you want Bluetooth headphones, and you like this style and or one of the other colors, absolutely. I mean, Jason and I, we're practical folk, so it's hard.
Yeah.
We're like $400 for a pair of headphones, but a lot of people live happier lives than we do because they don't bulk it that much.
I could buy 2 Chromebooks for that much. One
Or
for each kid.
I could sell my laptop and buy 3 pairs of these.
Right?
Right?
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah, let's do that.
To each his own, I say, but
Yeah.
they were really super comfortable, and they did pair, and they did not come out, they didn't unpair randomly. And if you have the headphone jack, they still have that.
Right.
You can still do that if you want.
Go figure.
Parrot Zik 3.
Megan, Jason, thank you so very much for doing this. This is awesome. I mean, it does make me kind of wish we still had Before You Buy. It was always fun to do a roundup, just talk and mess around.
Totally.
I think we did a good job, right? I mean, we weren't hating on any operating system. We were pointing out some shortcomings and where things do really, really well. Do you think we did that? I mean, Windows, Android/Chrome/iOS?
Whatever works for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really what it boils down to. Choice is good because
Choice
you
is
can
good.
choose which one you like most.
No, we hate choice. We fear choice.
Or choose both. Jason uses a Mac. Like I have a Chromebook at home too.
I have an iPad, I have an Android phone, and I have a Windows PC.
Yeah. See?
There you go. That's how we work it. Folks, we know that this was a lot of information. We're going to make it very easy for you to look at any of the products that we examined here on the show. Just go to our show page where you will find links for the Chromebooks, to all the docking stations, and yes, to the baby iPad Pro or the Parrot Zik 3. You're going to find that at twit.tv/KH. Not only will you find our show notes, but you're also going to find all of our back episodes in case you missed a couple. And if you want to support the show, please subscribe. It doesn't matter what version you want, just subscribe, and it's the easiest way for us to keep preaching the know-how gospel. Again, twit.tv/KH. Of course, if you really want to get to know-how, you got to jump into our community, and our community can be found on Google+. Just go to Google+ and look for know-how. There's a very short approval process because we need to keep out all the spam accounts. But once you're in, you get access to over 10,000 Kitas. That's our know-it-alls, people who are very active. In fact, the most active group here at Twit TV. If you're an expert, if you're intermediate, or if you're a beginner in the world of maker DIY, you'll find someone there who has something that you're interested in. Again, go to Google+ and look for know-how. Of course, you can also find us on the socials. I'm on Twitter, twitter.com/PadreSJ. If you follow me there, you'll be able to find out what I'm going to be doing for every show, plus suggest topics for future shows, and find out what happens when I'm not in the studio. Of course, Jason, Megan, you both have social medias things.
We do things in the socials sometimes.
Yeah. Where are you found?
I am found every day here on Tech News Today, and I am found on Twitter at Megan Morrone.
Also for iOS Today.
Oh, yeah, Mondays, iOS Today.
iOS
Yep.
Today. Yeah. And you'll be covering which Dreamforce.
Dreamforce, yes. I'll be filling in for you.
It's
for
a
your
different
live
kind
events.
of event.
I'm excited.
It's a huge
Tony
party.
Robbins is going to be there, so maybe I'll get to walk on some fire.
And now, okay, this is going to sound really materialistic, but here it goes. You have to get the backpack. The backpack is the status symbol from Dreamforce. It's the thing that people who didn't go to the show will actually buy so they can walk around San Francisco wearing one of those.
Good to know.
Okay. In fact, you might want to sign up just to get the
Just for the backpack.
Just to get the
I do
backpack.
need a new backpack. Actually, I don't. But it sounds really compelling. I would love to have something that other people want and don't have.
Well, you're going to be doing a fun event yourself. We have you signed up the same week as Dreamforce to go to San Jose. I'm actually really going to miss this one. Oculus Connect.
Oculus Connect sounds like a lot of fun because apparently I'm very pro VR
You are now.
these days.
There you go.
I mean, I'm really excited about VR for whatever reason. It's kind of I don't know. There's a lot of opportunity.
Although if I find out
magic behind it,
if you
so
go
I'm
to
excited.
OC3 and then you just tweet out, "Hey, they were giving away free Oculus Rifts."
Oh, dude, don't tease me like this. If this happens, I will be the happiest man on earth. Do they do that?
You never know.
Oh, God, I
They're
hope so.
crazy. But where else can people find you?
At Jason Howell on Twitter, pretty easy. Also, doing shows here, obviously with Megan, with Tech News Today every weekday, and then all about Android and Android App Arena for Androidy goodness. And wherever else I'm feeling like for Leo for a couple of weeks. I'm doing This Week in Google the next few weeks.
I mean,
all over the
you
map.
both only do like 10 shows a week. I mean,
Not a big
slackers.
deal.
I mean, I have to do too. So, I mean, that's, yeah.
It's okay someday.
One day I'm going to grow up and be just like them. We also have another member of our group, the director of Know-How, who's also the stand-in for Cranky Hippo. His name is Alex Gumpel. He's a good man. He's the one who pushes our buttons, keeps us on time, mostly. He doesn't always succeed in
I
that
try.
area. He tries.
But I have some stubborn hosts sometimes.
Indeed. But Alex, where do they find you?
Oh, I don't know. I'm just around.
No, folks. You can find him at twitter.com/ANELF3. Follow him and tell him that he needs to get a camera on himself because he's lagging on that. He doesn't like showing off the TDs. Go figure. Until next time, I am Father Robert Balacer, joined by Jason Howell and Megan Morrone, saying, now that you know how, go back to school.
Oh,
Or that.
I didn't know you were going to say that.